factor of production. It affects production because in economical world, movement of materials and human produces good goods. So by increasing the fuel by 7%, actually it will increase production of essential commodity, which will increase the prices. I also want to draw attention to clause 54 of VAT remittance. Before this is brought, the remittance was being done within 30 days. Now it has been reduced to 3 days, which means Department of HR, any department will have to bring additional staff, which will increase cost. The other clause 48 on IDF, which has been increased from 2.5 to 3%, will also affect the cost of the product because there will be increment in which will also kill industrial product. I've also seen proposed amendments which is not a subject of today's discussion, as they are increment in 16% on bread. There is also 16% on transport of sugar. There is also increment of 16% financial services, which will bring a great impact. I want to summarize by saying any legislator who votes for this, you will have signed your political obituaries. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Kainan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, of tax proposals that affect the different tax laws, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the intention is to give the government the legal force to collect taxes to finance the budget, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ordinarily, this bill has gone through all the that every bill ought to go through, Mr. Speaker, until it became part of the public debate, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, taxation, all laws affecting taxation are generally emotive, polarizing, and highly political. Mr. Speaker, the debate on this bill has taken two dimensions. One, Mr. Speaker, the political dimension has been convoluted, highly polarized, full of propaganda, misinformation, misinterpretation, Mr. Speaker, and this is part of the norm of our Kenyan society, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as a member of the Finance and Planning Committee, we were guided by reason, we were guided by the public interest, and Mr. Speaker, we were keen views of the Kenyan taxpayers, Mr. Speaker, who appeared before the committee, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, proudly, I must admit, the bill as published, if we will not have effected any amendment, will have been difficult to implement, will have been difficult to internalize, Mr. Speaker. We as the members of the Finance and Planning Committee, Mr. Speaker, took time to listen and be guided by fairness and the principle of public participation, Mr. Speaker, and that's why we came up with a raft of amendments, and these amendments with VAT on bread, VAT on transportation of sugar, VAT on financial services, VAT on increase on, increase on mobile, the 2.5% on vehicle, Mr. Speaker, the excise duty on edible oil, and many other changes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what I want to say is this. This is a house of tradition. House. And I want to urge my colleagues here. This bill as amended meets the expectation and the test of time, and I want to urge you, don't be intimidated. Pass this bill as amended, and it will add value to the taxpayers who have elected you. These other shenanigans, these other hula blues and propaganda, you have the right to address your representative of the people of Kenya. This bill, as amended, meets my expectation, and therefore I urge you to, and certainly you know, Professor Omelo, I do not belong to the list of the members.
Member for...
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me an opportunity to contribute to this very important bill, the Financial Bill 2024 of the year 2024-2025. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I support the bill. And Mr. Speaker, may it be known that my vote is a yes to this bill. And so that those who are sending me very, very many and fake messages should stop. Mr. Speaker, initially I was a bit worried after listening to my people about some of the issues that they were not comfortable with. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the Committee of Finance for the good job that they did. They went and listened to Kenyans. They did a very good public participation, and they took the views of Kenyans. And when they brought this bill, Mr. Speaker, they incorporated the views of Kenyans. We can see the amendments, the proposed amendments, Mr. Speaker, and are very considerate. Mr. Speaker, VAT on bread was a thorn on the flesh of Kenyans. And I'm so glad that the Finance Committee negated or deleted that bit on the finance bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the tax on VAT was also a contentious issue in this country, but that one was also deleted in the bill, Mr. Speaker. That is also a win. Mr. Speaker, tax on mobile transactions was also something that Kenyans were talking about, are not comfortable with, Mr. Speaker. The committee did it justice to Kenyans as well, because that tax is no longer there. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that this bill promotes local manufacturers, because when we exempt taxes on the manufacturers, such that the ones that produce stuff like sanitary towels, diapers, and this stuff, Mr. Speaker, then we will be promoting the local manufacturers and therefore creating employment to many Kenyans.
Thank you. You have finished your time. Peter Kaluma. Yes, Lelmengit. What's your point of order? And under what standing order?
The standing order. Honorable Mr. Speaker, I have an issue with the internet connection.
Pardon?
The Wi-Fi. The internet. Mr. Speaker, the Wi-Fi is not functioning. And we need to communicate to the Gen Z out there, Mr. Speaker. We want to know what is happening out there and the reaction of the population. Please, Mr. Speaker, can we ask the clerks, the people responsible for the ICT, so that they can fix this menace?
The clerks will take...
I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to speak to this particular bill. Honorable Speaker, debate on finance bill is the most important debate in any democracy. In fact, that the main reason as to why parliaments were established is that there should be no taxation without representation. So, Honorable Speaker, let me begin by clarifying that it is not President Ruto outside there who is taxing people. It is this parliament that taxes people. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, when you look at Article 94, the Constitution is very clear. Our is representation. And because of that, Honorable Speaker, on these matters touching on finance bill, I want to urge my colleagues, including myself, that when the position of your political party or your political party leader is not aligned with the position of your people on stand with your people. And so, Honorable Speaker, I'm standing to oppose because the people of Homa Bay Town constituency for whom I speak are saying the imagination that we can impose taxes on bread is bad. The imagination that we can impose taxes on vehicles is not good. The imagination, Honorable Speaker, that we can impose any taxes on eggs, whether imported or otherwise, the people of Homa Bay tell me, Honorable Speaker, is bad. Honorable Speaker, I'm encouraged with the thinking that we can drop most of those I've mentioned. But Honorable Speaker, let me mention that when you were at the University of Nairobi, diet, the only thing you go to is an egg. It's an egg. This is the diet balancing, you know, food. Egg with sukuma wiki, you have ugali, you are done. It is for students, that is the case in the villages. Honorable Speaker, you may say we are going to impose taxes only on imported, but how will you distinguish between those eggs you're using to hatch and the eggs to be eaten on the table? Do we have the machinery to confirm it? Honorable Speaker, there is no empirical data, and this is where I think the Finance Committee failed this House. Do we have data in terms of the amount of eggs which are imported that are in our market? Once we increase the price for imported eggs, going by the amounts, my fear, Honorable Speaker, is that when you go to the shop, you will not distinguish. Honorable Speaker, the last...
Time up, Ferdinand Wanyonyi. It is 3 minutes.